Delta State. President Tinubu calls for probe stakeholders meeting following killing of soldiers in Delta. Insecurity in Kaduna. Now, foreign teenagers find out over classmate's death. I am Ifichuku Moyle with the news. Educational activities are partially grounded at the University of Port Harcourt, Uniport, and other universities nationwide following the 7-day warning strike by senior staff and non-academic staff. Members of the Senior Staff Association of Nigeria University SANU Uniport branch and non-academic staff union NASU joined their counterparts today for the warning strike to demand for payment of their withheld 4-month salaries. Our correspondent who visited Uniport observed that many offices and business outlets had no electricity. Some members of the unions who were gathered in front of the Senate building told our correspondent they were ready to press home their demands and ensure compliance. They also spoke on the implications of the strike. Now, the Uniport chairman of SANU, Bernard Chukwu, expressed regret that the strike will affect the students and running of the university. Last Monday, the union threatened to shut down hostels and power supply in universities across the country if the federal government fails to meet its demand before today. Moving on, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has slammed political betrayers. He spoke when he joined other guests in Port Harcourt for the birthday celebration of the National Vice Chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Victor Giadom.
I have known Victor. Victor is not a pretender. Victor is not one of those who have made the Guinness Book of Record by pretending. You understand what I mean? Yeah. There are those who have made the Guinness Book of Record by pretending, not only you, but they were sick.
Away from that, local vigilante known as Diobu Vigilante says it caught 2 notorious criminals named Achu Godfirst and Victor Nwokoma who have been terrorizing the area. The commander of the vigilante service, Prince Amatari, said it followed distress calls about criminal activity around Ojoto by New Mile 1 Hospital.
Many have lost their valuable phones to them at gunpoint these few days of their cult clash and activities. Despite our predicament, logistic and mobility challenge, we traced them to their hideout at Ogo, who sighted us from afar and exchanged firing with us and escaped through the waterfront. Right there at Ogo, we received another distress call that another group at Unsoka Street in Mine 1 is robbing, and we quickly responded to that area. Sighting us from afar, they started firing and we replied them with a chase.
Mr. Amatari said the confession of one of the suspects helped the joint operation with the Octopus Strike Force at Ogu, where weapons were recovered.
Passionately, we appeal to the government and the public to support and sustain us with logistic and mobility, which will be immensely valued and cherished, as it has undeniably affected us in responding swiftly to distress calls in our fight against crime and criminality.
The suspect spoke about how they operated in the Diobu area.
Yesterday, I bought 2 phones at the waterfront at Diobu. So the vigilante lay ambush on me, but suddenly they did not get me that yesterday. So today, I went to Diobu to buy phone today. Bought 7 phones today at Diobu. So the vigilante now caught me at the waterfront.
I usually stand in the road, steal people's phone and sell. So yesterday we climb up and we take like 3 people's phone and sell yesterday. So also today now we were 3 that gathered and say, okay, let us go and look for phones that we will achieve so that we will sell. That's when we now climb up. So on our way going, we stop one boy, saw the boy. Okay, the boy doesn't do anything, we're now leaving. So on our way going forward, the vigilante now stop us. One now escape, the one that holds the gun now escape. Then it's only me that remain.
In another development, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu says killers of 16 people, including soldiers in Okwama community, Ughelli South local government area of Delta State, must not go unpunished. The president also ordered a full investigation into the incident. The Senate has also condemned the killings, saying the culprit must be made to face the full consequences of their actions. Meanwhile, as the manhunt for the killers continue, an indigene of Odi in Bayelsa State Koku Emananaga, who witnessed the Odi massacre in 1999, has advised the military to heed the orders of President Tinubu for a probe to avoid repeating the mistakes made in the Odi community. He said this in an interview on Arise TV.
As it happened to G, let it not be the usual pattern. Let them completely obey the command of the Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief. Go after the killers, not everybody in the community. Because in the case, it was the entire community they went after. So this time around, let them go after the killers, and also the community should cooperate with the military. If they know them, let them bring them out. In the case of OD, it was only one indigene from OD that participated with the other criminals, and we suffered because of one person joining the other ones. So I am praying that these young men that have put that community into trouble be fished out.
As you may know, the military personnel, including a commanding officer, 2 majors, 1 captain, and 12 soldiers, and a civilian, were killed in the community last week during a peace mission between 2 warring communities. The Okwama community, where the 16 soldiers were killed, has been set ablaze and residents have reportedly fled. In the meantime, President Bola Tinubu has ordered a stakeholders meeting regarding insecurity situations in Kaduna State. This was made known by the senator representing Kaduna Central Senatorial District, Lawal Usman, yesterday. Mr. Usman said the president directed him to convene an emergency stakeholders meeting following his visit to the president at the villa on Friday. He said the meeting will address critical areas of insecurity, especially the frequent banditry in the state. Mr. Usman also said the stakeholders include security agencies, community leaders, traditional institutions, the government, and civil society organizations. Meanwhile, terrorists kidnapped 87 people on Sunday night after launching a fresh attack on the Kajuru Station community in Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State. Reports say the village was attacked at 10 p.m. Still to come, federal government flags off mass metering in army barracks nationwide. Stay with us. Now, following reports of Nigerian students being stranded abroad due to delayed payment of their stipends, one of the 2016 beneficiaries of the Federal Scholarship Board, Patrick Amechi, who graduated from St. Petersburg Electrotechnical University in Russia, narrated his ordeal. Mr. Amechi said during his time, his colleagues paid their flight tickets and even catered for themselves for several months before the Federal Scholarship Board could reimburse them.
Most of the negative aspect of the scholarship is the federal government. They don't usually send students on time. Like I said earlier, school here starts September 1st and we came December, and the other batch that the federal government had to send to my own set, they came March. So basically you've missed the whole first semester and already half of the second semester. The other one is the stipend I told you about earlier, which doesn't come early enough all the time. They say they'll pay you $500 every month, but during our time we were all stipendia for more than a year.
Now, he said some of the negatives in studying in Russia were the language barrier and the cold weather, which could get up to minus 40 degrees Celsius. Mr. Amechi advised the federal government to improve its mobilization of students and ensure their monthly stipends is paid on time. Meanwhile, an educator, Ike Chunwogo, says political interference, leadership personalities, and funding are factors that have affected federal and state government scholarships in Nigeria. Mr. Nwogu, whose organization, in collaboration with the Sustainable Development Agency in Rivers State, managed the scholarship scheme in Rivers State from 2008 to 2015, said politicians brought bias into the scholarship scheme.
Politicians, for the most part, are spoilers to novel scheme. A lot of them are self-centered, not all. And sometimes they come in the way of the good objectives of leadership. No matter how good you are, no matter how transparent you want to be, some would call, in fact, one particular one called me insisting, is there no way you can mago the system? Those were his words. To get my children in. I said, I'm sorry, sir. We can't do that. We must maintain utmost transparency.
In business, the federal government has started the mass metering of the Nigerian Army barracks nationwide. Minister of Power Adebayo Adelabo said 12.7 billion naira has been released out of the 40 billion naira for the mass metering project. Mr. Adelabo spoke at the flag-off of the exercise at the Nigerian Army Ikeja military cantonment over the weekend. In entertainment, Hollywood actor Idris Elba says plans to transform Sherbro Island, Sierra Leone into an eco-friendly smart city with wind-powered renewable electricity. The project, which originally focused on tourism, evolved into a sustainable development initiative to bring growth and self-reliance to the area. In sport, FA Cup holders Manchester City will face Chelsea in the semi-finals at Wembley, while Manchester United's reward for their thrilling win against Liverpool is a meeting with second-tier Coventry. Sunday's draw for the last four raised the prospect of a repeat of last season's All-Manchester FA Cup final, which City won 2-1.
And now, we'll bring you news from around the world.
Authorities in the northern Chinese city of Handan have detained 3 teenage boys over the brutal death of their classmate. The case of the 13-year-old boy, identified only by his surname Wang, has sparked anger and furious debate on juvenile crime. Authorities found his remains buried in an abandoned vegetable garden. The boy's father said his son was bullied in school. Police are investigating the case as an intentional homicide.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
On the news this afternoon, you heard non-teaching staff in Uniport has joined a 7-day national warning strike. The sitting minister Nyesom Wike has political betrayal. President Tinubu has called for probe and a stakeholders meeting following the killing of soldiers in Delta and insecurity in Kaduna State. And on the foreign scene, some teenagers have been detained in China over their classmate's death. The news was edited by Constance Mega. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808-721-7215. I'm Ifechukwu Moyeli. Many thanks for listening.